Heimerdinger, the dog. Do you want to learn how to play Heimerdinger? Are you ready to climb rank 1 in US? Raise your dong and follow along. Don't worry about the passive for now, we will talk about it in a bit. Don't set up your turrets for no reason, you will end up perma-pushing and make you prone to ganking. Use them whenever you want to burst or set up a trap on someone, or when you are playing defensively under the tower. It's your greatest source of damage, so don't waste it. Easy to hit and does a lot of damage. What you really should know is that if you hit one of the rockets, you deal 60% of the projected damage, and every extra rocket adds 10% to that. For that reason, if you don't like skill shots, you can try making the cone wider so you at least get some of the damage off. Your E is another skill shot that stuns or slows enemies depending on how accurately you hit them, and it's probably the only skill you have for escaping, so use it wisely. Your ultimate basically amplifies all your skills and makes them deal more damage. Your Q deploys a bigger turret that has more health, more damage, and slows enemies when hit. I will go into further detail about the turret bar in the extra tips timestamp. Your W launches 4 waves of rockets instead of 1, dealing a huge amount of damage initially and less the more rockets you hit. Your E throws a grenade that's much bigger and does a bit more damage, but the main upgrade is that it bounces 3 times now. Place your turrets in a triangle position while in lane to cover the biggest area. The closer you are to the center, the more protected you should feel against enemies. Playing around your turrets is the only way to get consistent damage, both in fights and while in lane, so keep that in mind. Use your W in combination with your Q. Hitting all rockets makes your turrets throw a beam towards the enemy. You can use your E in combination with your Q. If you throw a grenade you're sure is going to stun someone, immediately pop the turret down next to you so it hits the enemy with its beam. Passive. Moving around Heimers or structure turrets gives you movement speed while in proximity. You can use pathing to get to lane a bit faster, but the most important is that you utilize the mobility this passive gives you while in lane or in fights. It's especially useful when getting ganked, because if you follow my previous advice of placing your turrets in a triangle, you gain the most mobility possible while engaging. In ganks, this is a huge advantage, and also because of how covered you are from different angles, you can use your turrets to block skill shots. You can use your Q to block skill shots in case you don't have the time to dodge. It's a last resort sometimes, but you can use it in case you need to. Hitting enemies with your abilities fills nearby turret's bar up. Hitting all rockets from W or hitting a stun with E fills the bar to full. The bar also slowly fills up over time. Using ultimate and W is insane in terms of damage but can be easy to miss. My best advice is to hit E and then ult W because it's almost confirmed that you will hit max damage. Otherwise, you can wait for a CC from another ally and then use your ult W to also maximize your damage. Ult E is huge when done in fights, but should only be used in 2 situations. If your team is retreating or while pushing a retreating enemy. It's best used in the jungle because of the limited mobility from the terrain. You can bait enemies into using spells by casting your ult but not casting a spell. That way, for example, you can get a Zonia off or a flash and then you can simply recast your ult and it won't be on cooldown. Ulting with Q, I've personally found, is only good when the enemies are trapped in a location and are focusing your team. Otherwise, it's a bad idea to use it instead of W or E, because the enemies will either move out of range or will kill your Q. There is an exception though. You can get a tank ally and place 3 turrets in Baron Pit and use ult Q to maximize your TPS. You can probably get Baron in around 10 to 15 seconds depending on how late the game is and how many items you have. If your ally can withstand the damage, then it's a great way to sneak Baron, while your allies, for example, distract the enemy or the enemy team is getting another objective like Drake or pushing turrets. Place a pink ward in a bush works especially well when an objective is going up, like Baron or Drake. Place your turrets in the bush and wait for an enemy to approach. Then hit E and ult W. This way, you can pick off enemy mid laners or ADCs or even junglers, which can be huge in the fight for the objective. Make sure to do it in time and without anyone seeing you, otherwise the ambush will fail. Itemize depending on what the enemy team has. Basically, you want to build Lost Chapter on first back if possible, and rush sorcerers for Magic Pen. Ideally, you want to get Liandry's, but if the enemy team has no tanks and everyone is squishy, you should get Ludens. Also, if you are prone to one-shots, you should most definitely build Crown of the Shattered Queen to increase your survivability. If enemies have a tank that builds MR and is a huge pain to deal with, you will have to get Void Staff. Shadow Flame should almost always follow, and after Abaddons it's all according to your game. Here's the tier list, and thanks for watching.